Hello, I'm Diane Schumacher. Welcome to Dragon's Lair Update. This month, college basketball returns to Howard Community College. Coach Dull's Dragons take on Garrett College, and HCC women's basketball battles Frederick. Mary Lee Adams closes the show with an all-new Dragon close-up on 3 sports star Rebeka Coughlin. Men's basketball leads off. Howard goes up against Garrett. Derek Watte anchors our coverage.
And thanks, Diane. Howard enters the game with a 3-6 record. The Dragons' defense has given up 100 points 3 times this season. Howard is allowing opponents to score over 95 points per game entering the Garrett contest. The Dragons will be without Jawan Grant, who is out with an injury. Grant leads the Maryland JUCO Conference in scoring with 23 points per game. Basketball analyst Chuck Nagel will be with us for this Region 20 battle. Chuck, what do you expect to see from the Dragons?
Well, we know Howard has given up 100 points 3 times and 95 points on the season. Not a recipe for disaster, but certainly a recipe not to win games. Howard needs to come out and play much better on defense than they've played in previous games. Whether it's a man-to-man or a zone defense, they must get more aggressive, and they must do a better job on the defensive boards. No doubt about that. On offense, they need to be much quicker to the basket and not always rely on the outside shot. They also need to do a better job on the offensive glass, getting second and third shots.
Garrett enters the game with an 8-2 record. The Lakers are the 2-time defending Region 20 District 15 champions. Garrett is the only D2 Region 20 team to advance to the national tournament in each of the last 2 seasons. The Lakers made it to the Elite 8 last year. They returned 6 players from that squad, including 2 starters. Chuck, what will Garrett look to do against Howard?
Garrett's a very good team. If I were a betting man, I'd say Garrett's going to come out with a very aggressive man-to-man defense and put a lot of pressure on the Howard guards, obviously trying to keep them from driving to the basket and dishing to the shots. On the other side of the ball, we'll see a motion offense, a very good motion offense, with the presence of 2 excellent low-post players.
A D2 Region 20 win is on the line. Let's go to the Dragons' lair. First half, 3-point lead for Garrett.
Howard in a 2-3 zone. Great ball movement here by Garrett. They're going to wait until they get a good shot, more than likely 4 or 5 passes, and then they get the shot they're looking for. Great shot from the corner.
9 minutes remaining in the first. Kyle Davis bringing it down the floor, attacks and finishes himself.
Garrett in a man-to-man defense. Dragons trying to get a good look or some penetration down the middle. They don't get that penetration, and they settle for a 25-footer, which is off the mark. The Dragons try to run a 2-man play. Looks like a pick and roll at the elbow, and Davis comes off the pick, loses control of the ball, another Howard turnover.
Garrett quickly turns defense into offense. Deshae Lee finds Shane Chikorima all alone right next to the rim. 5-point lead for Garrett.
The Dragons still in their 2-3 zone. Hall right here just doesn't get out quick enough, and Lee drills the 3. The Dragons running a motion offense. Out on top, Davis down the lane. Scoring opportunity doesn't go.
Davis gets back to the rack and Garrett sends him to the line. 11 first half points for Davis. Second half, 10-point lead for Garrett.
Howard now in a man-to-man defense, having given up 50 points the first half. Now try to take away the outside shot, forcing the Lakers down the lane.
10:42 remaining. Howard is on an 11-4 run. It's a 6-point game. J.P. Herbert gets a hand on the pass. Davis does the rest. Davis forces the turnover. Herbert hustles down the floor and finishes in beautiful transition. But Garrett answered with a 4-0 run. Their lead is back to 8. Gregory Ash Jr. fights his way into the lane and emerges with 2 points.
Now it appears Garrett is content to fall back into that zone defense, giving Howard the 3-point shot.
J.P. Herbert makes it a 1-possession game. 7:55 remaining. Razee Colbreth looking to drive, pulls up and knocks down the jumper.
Ash dribbles to the middle of the zone collapses, and he finds Herbert for the 3-point shot. Almost a reversal of the first half when Garrett hit the 3-point shots.
Herbert is 5 for 5 from the field this half, scoring 14 of Howard's 27 second half points thus far. 32 in blue, Malik Tunk comes up top and sets the screen. Colbreth uses the screen, goes by 2 Dragons and scores the tough bucket. 5:42 remaining, 4-point lead for the Lakers. Nemo Trexler draws 3 Dragons to the ball and gives it up to Adam Wilkinson. He gives Garrett a 6-point cushion.
Dragons have fallen back into their man-to-man defense. Ojo goes one-on-one here, separates himself by pushing off with his left hand. The official sees it but doesn't call it.
Garrett is on a 10-2 run, 3:38 remaining in the game. John Grant Jr. storms into the lane and comes up with an and-one bucket.
Garrett, in that motion offense we talked about earlier, the Dragons trying to push him down the lane, try to force a turnover, which they do. That's great team defense. Again, the motion offense. Garrett will try to get the ball to Trexler on the low post. He's got Ash on his high side, puts it in for two.
1:35 remaining. Howard trails by 7. Ash takes it to the paint. Culbreth wins the battle. Suffocating defense from the Lakers. Garrett College picks up a Region 20 win on the road. 81-74 is your final. Let's go to Hamid Hosseini.
Garrett College has a bit of a track record from a basketball standpoint. How important was this game?
I mean, it was very important. They just went to the national tournament last year, so we wanted them bad. We just didn't finish the game.
JP, tell us from a mental standpoint, where do you think the Howard Dragons are standing?
I mean, I think we're good for the most part, to be honest. We're definitely young. We got probably one of the youngest teams in the league, so experience probably might not be there all the time, but I think we all have the mindset that we want to win. It's just a matter of executing and performing to our best talent.
Next, Coach Dull's Dragons look to snap their 2-game losing streak as Howard battles Frederick. The Dragons will be armed with both of the Grant twins. Leading scorer Jawan Grant is returning to the lineup after missing the Garrett game. Basketball analyst Chuck Nagel is back for another Region 20 showdown. Chuck, strategically, what is Howard looking to do against Frederick?
Well, based on the outcome of the game against Garrett, I think Howard will come out and try to push the game on both sides of the ball, up-tempo and slow it down. They have to get Frederick into a running game, and I think if Howard can control the tempo, as I said, both slow and fast, they've got a real good shot to win this game. However, at times, as you know, Howard's best offense is their defense. In other words, they like to score baskets in transition off the opponent's turnovers.
Frederick enters the game with a 2-8 record. The Cougars have looked stronger in their last 2 outings. Frederick blew out Allegheny County. Allegheny lost a close one on the road to Maryland JUCO title contender Montgomery. Chuck, what does Frederick like to do on offense?
Frederick's strengths on offense, obviously, they're half court. Very good half court offense. They like to spread the floor. They get the ball to the high post and then find the open man. Good shots pretty much all the time. Once they get a good shot, they can rebound and hit the boards hard. They're quick, they're fast, and they also run the baseline extremely well. One thing I noticed in watching Frederick play, when they get involved, though, in an up-tempo game, they're prone to turnovers.
Howard and Frederick take the court next. Let's go to the Dragons' Lair. First half, John Grant Jr. up against Deshaun Bell.
Frederick back in a man-to-man defense. Top of the key, great entry pass to Herbert, but rather than go straight up, he puts the ball on the ground for a turnover.
Frederick in possession. Bell draws 2 Dragons to the ball. Goes back to McIntosh for the uncontested dunk. Gregory Ash Jr. looking to attack the rim. Can't get it to fall.
The Dragons just too slow getting down the floor on defense.
David goes back to Josiah Jones, all alone in the corner, 8-point lead for Frederick.
Frederick showing a 1-3-1 offense against the 1-3-1 defense. Perfect 1-3-1 play here. Ball goes from the wing to the high post to the baseline man rolling. Easy shot, perfect play. Frederick moving the ball well, looking for the open man. Quick passes, bang, bang, bang. Open 3, perfect. Howard offense standing around. Ash trying to back his way into the 2-3 zone, but a turnover.
Edwards takes it himself, converts the tough layup.
Lewis able to penetrate. No defensive presence by Howard. Lewis for the easy 2-point shot.
Howard is down by 12. Nathan Bonsu attacks and finishes. Nice play from the freshman out of Silver Spring.
Howard starting the second half in a 1-2-2 half-court trap. Frederick with good passes, they solve it. Ball to the middle, underneath, easy basket, 2 points.
11:51 remaining, 14-point advantage for Frederick. Jawan Grant, surrounded by green jerseys, calls for the ball and makes something happen for the Dragons. And 1 bucket for Grant. Frederick led by as much as 20. The Dragons responded, however, with a 9-0 run.
Howard again in that half-court press. Frederick gets the ball to the middle, but this time Howard creates a turnover.
Kyle Davis goes to Juwan Grant. Cougars leave him open. Grant makes him pay. 57-46 Frederick now. Robinson, Dawson, Kyle Davis forces the turnover. Ash moves it ahead to John Grant Jr., rising up over to Sean Bell. Bangs it in. We have a 9-point game.
Howard defense much more aggressive now. Unable to score on offense, they're using a much more aggressive defense now to turn the ball over and score in transition. They're back in the ball game by forcing turnovers and getting transition buckets. Obviously, their defense has put them back in this game.
8 minutes remaining. Davis moves it to Juwan Grant, absorbs the contact, and puts it away on the run. Other end, Bell out to Lewis, wide open. Nope, but Frederick outworks the Dragons down low. McIntosh with the putback.
Once Frederick is allowed to get into their offense, they seem to get very easy shots like this one. Now the game is slowed up and the momentum back to Frederick.
They would keep the momentum for the remainder of the contest. 72-63 Frederick is your final. Let's go to Hamid Hosseini.
At what point during the first half did it become a mental game? Because it looked like it was very, very physical out there.
Well, when we started going down and they brought the lead up, that's when we really had to, get into our heads that we have to pick it up. And it seemed like nobody was buying into that. Everybody wanted to just keep on going hard, but basketball is a game where you have to think. So when we went down, that's when we had to pick it up. Mental. That's when it became a mental game.
Talk to us about the second half, because we sensed some kind of a revival from Juwan Grant's three-point play at the 11:50-minute mark. Can you tell us what's going on through your mind?
Just once that happened, fire. Just let's go, let's get it. We've came. I think we brought it down to at least 5 or somewhere around there. And at that point, I just, let's just keep on pushing the pedal, keep on going. But just fire, just intensity. I just felt like we had it, but we didn't get there.
Well, great job out there, and good luck on your next game.
Appreciate it.
For Dragons Lair Update, I'm Omid Hosseini.
My first guest was an assistant coach at Coppin State University for 9 seasons. He's coached at the college level since 1985. This is his second season at Howard. It's a pleasure to welcome head coach Jay Dahl. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you.
Tell us about the makeup of your players this year.
Our team has some transfers with some experience, but again, not in our system. We have some young guys. We've had a great deal of adversity with our program, off the court type things that have just been very, very difficult on certain individuals on our team. It's been hard on our team in general, and it's been really hard on our coaching staff.
So let's talk about some of the things that we are doing well, and some of the athletes who have stepped up that you have been, remotely pleased with, that has helped this program this year.
Juwan Grant, he's a very, very, very good offensive player. He can score inside, outside. He's a little soft inside. I had a conversation with his father on the phone the other night when I got a Division I call inquiring about him, and I basically told his dad, Juwan has the offensive potential to play at the Division I level. What he needs to understand is that he's got to hustle on the defensive end of the floor, and he's got to do the things that he needs to do. And his dad goes, I'm glad you said that, because I've been trying to tell him that. And I said, I understand that. I've had 2 sons myself, so I know what it's like when you're trying to tell them something and they think they have all the answers. He has the capabilities of playing at the Division I level next year. And I told him on the bench that during the Frederick game, I sat him down and I said, now if that coach that I talked to on the phone was at this game today, that could have cost you a scholarship. And see, guys don't understand it's those little things. I mean, I was a Division I coach for 13, 14, 15 years, and I know what I was going into the gym to look for, and it wasn't always the leading scorer. It's all those little intangible things that make a team good. And if I come in there looking at one specific person, and I see him being a dog on the defensive end of the floor or finding time to rest. And then I see, and this is another point that I would make to my other guys on the team, then I see other guys on the team that are just busting their tail. And then I kind of put the guy that I came there to look at back in my file, and I add somebody else. And so I'm trying to get across to the guys that they just have to play with effort every time they step on the floor, whether it be practice or whether it be in a game. But he's our leading scorer, pretty good rebounder. His brother John is a better shooter than what his stats are showing. And I need to have that. I got it in my notes today to have a conversation with him that if I'm trying to sell him to a 4-year school this year, how can I sell him as a shooter when he's shooting as poorly as he's shooting from the three-point line? I think he's shooting 10% in conference games and 23% in overall. And that's not because he's not a good shooter. He's a very, very good shooter. But his shot selection sometimes can be horrendous. And so I had the same conversation with Ian Vasquez last year. I said, Ian, you realize if I'm trying to sell you as a shooter, you got to be a shooter. And when you take bad shots, it causes your percentages to come down, and then I can't sell you as a shooter. So, I mean, I'm really not answering your question, but I'm trying to say what I need to say to get this team turned around.
Good luck, Coach, the rest of the season.
Thanks, appreciate it.
It's time for women's basketball. Howard and Frederick face off in a Region 20 Maryland JUCO contest. Let's send it back to Derek Watte.
And thanks, Diane. Howard finished with a 5-16 record last season, leading to the departure of head coach Chris Anderson. Former Howard assistant coach Maureen Shaku took over the program in May. Her team is 7-1 entering the Frederick game. Chuck Nagel is back for this D2 Region 20 contest. Chuck, what will be the key today for Howard?
Well, Howard plays best when they slow the game down, no doubt about that. Their half-court offense has been very, very good. They're familiar with the offense. They do a nice job. Most of their scoring comes by the guards driving to the basket and dishing for shots, which eventually opens up the shots they hit. Defensively, they must absolutely do a much better job rebounding.
Frederick enters the game with a 4-6 record. The Cougars are in the midst of an up-and-down season. Frederick scored an upset win over Hagerstown, but the Cougars are just 1-4 since. Chuck, talk about the style matchup here. What do you expect to see?
Well, I mentioned Howard likes to slow the pace, while on the other hand, Frederick plays best in the open court. Up-tempo, no doubt about it. Frederick also relies on two very good outside shooters and the ability to get the ball off the defensive boards and to beat the opponent down the floor. They do both very well. Their strength is definitely their transition game.
Coach Shaku's Dragons look to keep their momentum rolling against Frederick. Let's go to the Dragons' Lair. First half, Howard leads by 5. Dragons working against the Frederick Zone D.
I like the way Howard moves the ball. A lot of passes, everybody gets a touch on the ball, a couple of dribbles, and they get a great shot. Quick passes, the most efficient way to beat the zone. Howard in a 2-3 zone. Trouble with 2-3 zones, if you don't get out quick enough to stop the shot, you give up shots like this one.
Fatima Blake converts the 3. She has 7 points. Less than a minute till the half, Tia Bird up against Sam Heisig. Big time block by Heisig. Dragons make the stop on defense. Coughlin takes the ball, looking to do some damage in transition. Coughlin attacks the rim and finishes. Dragons are on a 6-2 run. 8 seconds remaining in the half.
Again, Howard in a very compact 2-3 zone. They know Bird's a great shooter. They must get out on her quicker.
It's Heisig's 3rd foul. She's one of Howard's leading scorers. Second half now, 3-point lead for Howard. Excellent transition defense by Coughlin. She forces the turnover. Coughlin with a downhill drive, takes it into the lane, and 1 bucket for the sophomore out of Liberty High School.
Coughlin takes the ball right into the defense, which is what you want to do. She forces the action, and it pays off. Frederick in a man-to-man defense. Here you see Heisig sneak down on the baseline. They set up a double pick for her. On the low post, easy layup, well executed. This double post play will work against the man-to-man or against the zone. Heisig from the wing, able to drive through the Frederick zone for the easy layup.
Heisig attacks and finishes. 9:51 remaining in the fourth quarter. Heisig picked up the fourth foul. She's on the bench. Bird buries the three.
Frederick against the 2-3 zone, getting good shots, making good shots. They're putting them in.
8:18 remaining in the game. Frederick on a 10-4 run. Knowledge Thomas with room to shoot. Off target. Here comes Frederick down the floor. Tia Bird ties the game.
The Dragons seem to be standing around on defense. Sometimes the zone a very poor rebounding defense, and you see it here.
Frederick has outscored Howard 16-6 in the last 5 minutes.
Howard, it seems, is just sort of giving up on that zone defense. Frederick passing around the ball, getting shots anywhere they want. Howard's shot selection here leaves a lot to be desired. Their inability to score or get the rebound allows Frederick to get the ball off the board, 2-on-1 fast break. They get down the floor for the easy score.
3:37 to play in the fourth. Frederick is on an 11-2 run. Lauren Thompson launches a triple, cuts the Dragons' deficit to 4 points.
Howard down by 4. They should be looking for good shots and now throwing it up with little chance to go in. Frederick beating Howard down the floor once again.
Fatima Blake with an and-one bucket. That's going to make it a 7-point lead for Frederick. 1:28 remaining in the game. Frederick puts it away. Cougars win it 87-76. Let's send it down to Amit Hosseini.
You just played against Frederick, who have had somewhat of a wishy-washy season, and you guys, on the other hand, you have quite a streak going on. So tell me, Lauren, how confident were you heading into this game?
We are very confident. Like you said, we had a pretty good season coming in. We did know from last year when we played them it was going to be a tough game, and we thought we had the upper hand on them. So, yeah, we did have the confidence. I guess it just kind of died down a little bit.
Rebeka, what were you thinking of during halftime?
Really just regaining our focus. We understand that like half the calls weren't going the way we wanted them to go, and we kind of let that affect us more on our like mental side than it should have, than on our physical side. So our coach really went back there and jammed focus down our throats, and we tried to come out in the third quarter with more focus than we did in the beginning of the game, and I think we did. For the most part, we did.
I want to ask you, were there any missed opportunities or things you could have done differently?
I think we should have, from the very beginning, we should have just pressured them, just got in their heads, and maybe they would have, the confidence that they had probably wouldn't have been as high. I think we should have just kind of pushed it down on them. But yeah, defense, it did come down to that. It did intensify, and we could have done better.
Well, all the best on your next game against Anne Arundel.
Thank you.
For Dragons Lair Update, I'm Amit Hosseini.
My next guest came to Howard Community College from Atherton High School. She led the Raiders to a state championship in 2007. This is her first season as Howard's head coach. Maureen Shaku joins me now. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you.
What changes are you implementing in the program?
I think as far as the program goes for me, when I came in, I wasn't here for the recruiting part because of the summer and when I got hired and all that stuff. And we really didn't have any players coming in. We kind of went through and pulled girls. We got the girls that played last year, and we've got a good, strong basis of those girls. And I think that they're really leading the program and playing strong basketball. I think they're setting the tone for everybody else.
So tell me, what best describes the character of this group thus far?
Character. Caring.
Caring?
Mm-hmm. I think they care for each other. And I can tell you something, this is kind of funny to me. I asked, and I'm not saying this in any way to talking negative to anything, but last week I practiced one day, I went back to them and I said, I have a question I want to know. I said, how do I have the same players that was here last year? How do I pretty much have the same? The ones that, I'm talking to, and I said, how did you only win 4 games last year or 5 games? I don't understand that. And I had the same comment from 3 kids. We like each other. And I was like, that was mind-blowing to me. And I'm like, well, that's good. I'm glad you like each other. And they're like, we're having fun. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's what it should be. Your sports should be fun.
Good luck the rest of the season.
All right, thank you.
Let's go to Mary Lee Adams for this month's Dragon Close-Up.
Playing 3 sports in college sounds nearly impossible, especially when juggling a full-time student workload. Add being in the military and 2 part-time jobs, and you have HCC's own superwoman, Rebeka Coughlin. A senior and starter on the HCC soccer, basketball, and lacrosse team, and last year's Student Athlete of the Year, Rebeka's presence is sure to leave an impact. Growing up in an athletic family, Rebeka was always very active, and even dabbled in karate and swimming before she narrowed it down to just 3. So how did this mega athlete come to play at HCC?
My cousin played 3 years before I came here for soccer for Coach Kate. And I actually came here in hopes to get a lifeguarding job, and that's when Coach Kate asked me to play soccer, because I originally came here for basketball as well. And I just ended up joining soccer, then basketball and lacrosse after that.
It was definitely good timing that she ended up on campus and the basketball coach was recruiting her. I had no idea she was the athlete she was.
So I first met Rebeka. We had 7v7 for soccer right before preseason, and she came down the field and she was like, "Hey, like, are you part of Howard?" And I was like, "Yeah." So like, that's how I first met her, and she was just very friendly. Like, first off, like, she wasn't shy at all. Like, very confident, and she was already making people laugh like the first day. So she's just one of those people, like, you don't meet people like her very often. Like, she's one of a kind for sure.
Rebeka's effervescent personality and sense of humor seems to have won the hearts of both her teammates and coaches, all the while still having the mental focus and drive to come through in games and juggle her hectic schedule.
She's a trip. I don't know how else to say it. She's hysterical. She wants to have fun, and she's able to do that. And at the same time, she's able to turn that and give you everything she has.
Rebeka definitely is a role model. She's a leader. You always can rely on her, and it helps that she is goofy, because you need that sometimes. You need the comic relief, because sometimes the games get really stressful, and you can look to her to make a great play and then make you laugh at the same time.
She's a pure athlete. I would love to have 11 of her ability. Well, she played soccer in high school, but her athleticism that's what makes her who she is.
Rebeka wasn't always the star athlete and student, though. Her hardships before coming to HCC led her down a difficult road, a road that led her to joining the Army Reserves.
I went to Virginia Wesleyan in 2011 after high school, and I failed miserably. Once I failed, I realized that I had to turn my life around, because it affected not only me but my family and like the financial aspect. So I wanted to do something better for myself, so I decided to join the military. And ever since I joined the military, kindness went up from there. And then I came here.
I have a dad who was military, and I look at her and I know what her commitment is. And to be her age and have that commitment and show that on the athletic field in different ways, I totally respect her.
I think being in the military, she's just, for one, she's fit. She's leading the pack as far as all of our runs. And she's just a natural leader.
With so much talent and promise, Rebeka has been left with the decision of what to focus on after her time at HCC comes to an end. Playing sports at a 4-year school would be a whole new challenge, but her path may take her down a more criminal road.
My major is criminal justice, so I want to get into like either law enforcement and in hopes to like gain, superiority and go into higher up positions in the criminal justice system, like go to government workers, FBI, something like that. I would really love to like get a scholarship somewhere, like, because money's everything. I would love to get a scholarship and play, and then get my bachelor's in criminal justice at a 4-year school.
She did tell me that criminal justice was the way she wanted to go, and obviously I'll help her as much as I can and put her in contact with the right people if I can.
With her coaches and teammates behind her, Rebeka seems to have a very bright future ahead of her. And with basketball season coming to an end, Rebeka will be heading into this spring with her head held high and a lacrosse field to conquer. For Dragons Lair Update, I'm Mary Lee Adams.
Thanks for watching, and remember, go Dragons!